Live shopping isn't just a trend, it's the retail revolution, and Sprii is leading the way. We're here to show businesses the magic of using video and social media to skyrocket sales and expand their audience. At Sprii, we're all about making your sales savvy and your connections rock solid. So let's dive in and make your retail dreams come true.
Hello and welcome, folks.
Hello indeed, and welcome.
Welcome, welcome. So I'm super excited today, as always, because this is like the moment we've all been waiting for, where we are reunited in the studio.
Well, you're making it seem as though we don't see each other every day. Yes. We
Well,
kind of do. We kind of sit across from one another.
Yes, but I'm a sucker for the theatrics.
Yes, you
and
are.
I hope you guys are too, because we're here with yet another show to rock your boats.
You're really working on the metaphors today, aren't you? I'll have to up my game a little bit, I think. Okay.
We'll make it a contest.
Yes, okay.
But no, you're right. Let's not keep the audience in any further suspense, because, obviously we want to thank you all for joining us today. We're your hosts, Jens Wynn, joined by none other than...
I am Corey Morris, and I have the pleasure of being the CMO here at Sprii.
Let's go!
Yay. All right.
All right, and we're of course going to get down to the nitty-gritty with you all today, because this conversation is all about... shoes!
You were waiting so much to do that, I think I could feel your heartbeat over here.
I'm pretty proud of that one. This is perhaps the start of my comedic career. But anyways, I'm not going to pretend that wasn't pure bliss.
Well, here's the thing. I hope you folks out there are equally impressed with this guy over here. We're, of course, not just here to gush about shoes, orange shoes. We're honing in on the sales of footwear as they relate to live shopping.
That's right, and later on, we'll be speaking with absolute star players in the game, and you've already probably guessed it by reading the title. It is, of course, none other than WODEN, the pioneering sneaker brand that's taken live shopping, I would say, by the horns and just body slammed it like a matador,
there
you know?
you go with the metaphors. Body slam. I knew you'd get a wrestling reference in there somehow.
Yes.
But I can't fault you too much because they indeed have done very well for themselves. And today I think we have the pleasure of digging into some of those strategic moves that have helped, lead them to this success, Jens. Before we give them the stage, we're going to take a broader look at the footwear category and for you guys unfold just how it's being adapted to live shopping in order to drive serious sales and also, mind you, boost engagement.
Yes. So let's freaking do it.
Let's do it. All right, I'll stop. All right, guys. Let's zoom out, jump up in the helicopter for a second, and let's start by getting our definition straight, okay? When we talk about footwear, in this context, we're not just talking about fashion, right?
Exactly. It's sneakers, it's dress shoes, it's sandals, boots, everything from performance to lifestyle and even orthopedics, because,
So anything you can put on your foot.
Pretty much. And it's a surprisingly rich category with loads of different angles to explore in live shopping. So
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, everybody needs shoes, right? And that's what I think makes it so exciting. How many shoes do you have in your
I'm starting to actually pile up with like a whole wardrobe I need just for my shoes.
Yeah, I'm horrible at actually throwing shoes away, so I
Yeah.
probably have shoes that are more than 10, 15 years old, and my wife's always like, when are you going to get rid of these? I'm like, I may use them one day.
Yeah,
She's
exactly.
like,
You never know,
okay,
right?
maybe in the next 20 years, though. But here's the thing about footwear, and you guys all know this, is that footwear is highly visual. People care about how it looks, how it fits, for my case, how long they last, and I think that makes it perfect for live demonstration, right? And it's more practical. It makes, obviously by doing this on live shopping and do demonstration, it becomes a little bit more practical is what I mean. It makes the items a little bit more relatable. And I think just like most products, people really want to hear, Jens, the story behind the shoe and They want to see how it. They want to see how it moves. I mean, one thing is for me to show it like this, but in a live show, I'd probably put it on my foot and walk around with it.
Yeah. You could describe the texture.
Yeah.
And everything.
I mean, they would want to see how it pairs with an outfit.
Yeah.
Would look great on me, not so great on you. No, just joking.
I could rock those.
Yeah.
Don't lie to me.
You probably could, yeah. And then also how it works in like real life situations. So I would probably use this shoe. It could be a casual shoe, more casual probably than a sports shoe, but things like that. Things that you're often going to miss when you're actually looking at it on a static website, or even if you're walking through it in a store.
Yeah,
you're not going to
see it on the shelf.
Yeah, I mean,
right?
the shoe's not going to come out and say, I want to show you all these fantastic things about me. That'd be awesome. The shoes could talk, though, but it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
But fortunately, you have people out there who know a lot about these shoes who can do the talking for it, right?
Yeah, yeah. And from, a business standpoint, we've seen time and again in the footwear, that footwear brands, they use live shopping often to see much bigger basket sizes when they go live, especially when they're showcasing full collections or, as you mentioned before, like complete the look pairing.
Yep.
So you're not just showing this in isolation, but with a complete outfit that complements it. Of
course.
That's a really great way
People
to
typically wear clothes
package
with
it.
shoes. Unless
I don't know. I usually go to sleep naked and just with wearing my sneakers. No,
that's weird.
Okay, that was not safe for work. Sorry about that. I take that back. Okay. Well,
that wasn't a metaphor. That's actually
that was the worst one
yeah,
so far.
okay.
But anyways, guys, what I'm trying to say is it just naturally lends itself super well to upselling opportunities because you can really package this like I would say like think shoes plus socks or shoes plus care products.
Laces.
And laces, so you bring all that up in your live show as a package deal, and people will really see how these individual products tie together. So it's a great way to sell more than just the single item.
Yep, very much so. And I think that aligns really well, Jens, with what we've seen across our platform at least. Excuse me, I had a burp there. Sorry. Some of those successful live shopping events in footwear are the ones that lean into things like seasonality. So this could be an all-around shoe, but let's just say winter's coming up or summer is coming up. Exclusivity. We're dropping this today. There's only one in orange. Get it now, folks. Actually, this is our Sprii shoes. And obviously storytelling, which we've talked about already.
Yes.
And we're really just talking about brands that are able to create excitement around new drops, collaborate with influencers, which I think is something that we see more and more of, or kind of give a behind-the-scenes access to product development. Imagine if there was someone who came in and talked about the story about why they created this particular version, or maybe the origin of this, because this is a classic shoe right here. It's probably back from the 50s, if not before then. Imagine if you
Were you alive back then?
I was not.
Sorry,
not.
that was a low blow.
But if I was alive back then and still looked like this, wouldn't that be amazing?
Yeah,
right?
That's some Benjamin Button.
That is a Benjamin Button. Dude's found the fountain of life or youth. But anyway, have somebody come in and talk about how these shoes are made, because I'll be honest with you, for most people, sorry, I said I would stop. It's a mystery. About how shoes are made, though.
Yeah.
But that's also what's cool about doing this on live shopping is that why not make it fun? Why not make it entertaining? And why not make it educational?
Yeah, that's a much better way to actually attract viewers and have the retention rate of your live streams also go up, because people don't just want to be sold to, they also want to entertain themselves, feel that they're connected to the host, right? And this also ties into my next point, which was, we're not just talking about hype-driven fashion either. We've seen within the shoe category successes in segments like comfort footwear, and sustainable brands like WODEN, and even niche performance shoes. They all have their own way of working really well with live shopping across the board.
Yeah,
because
they do. Yeah.
And
go ahead.
it lets you. What I was going to say is it lets you explain the product in context. And it connects with customers directly, because then they get the whole surrounding story about that shoe, which then they can relate to themselves. So it's really all about, in my opinion, honing in on your USPs as a brand. So what is it that makes you differentiate yourself from all the others?
It's a hard word.
I know, right? And then playing to your strengths via live shopping and really incorporating that into your identity.
Precisely. So let's talk a little bit about strategy. And so what are these brands really doing to get it right, Jens?
Great question. Well, from what we've seen, it's not just about showing off the product. It's about, and this is a way of really looking at it, it's how you approach it, it's bringing them to life.
Okay.
And really what I mean by that is,
So what do you mean by that?
some brands, they go behind the scenes at their design studio. So they can kind of try and bring their own spin on things. So others, they do try-on sessions. You have sometimes the staff comes out and picks out their favorites on stream. And then you also have customer Q&As. So you can approach it in a variety of ways, but really what's important is you make it interactive, you make it real. And when you have that sincerity on screen, people are going to buy into that.
Yeah, and I think once you get your community engaged, it kind of kickstarts what we call the whole flywheel, right?
Right,
So people are going to come back for future shows because they know what to get. They're going to be, obviously the brand's going to be top of mind for them. Next time they're thinking of shoes, they're going to want to talk about the brand because we like to talk, share experiences. And I think that that loyalty, if you will, turns into real value. And the guest we're actually speaking about today, WODEN, is a perfect example of how to do that well. So, and WODEN, I mean, it's absolutely great story, guys, and we're so happy to have them on today's episode. So they built an impressive live shopping presence by doing all the things right, and they've really gotten creative with the live shopping format, I think. And that's really what drew us to want to bring them on today, because I think they are an example of someone who's doing an amazing job. They're not afraid to try out new things either, which is also makes them exceptional. And they're always trying to figure out how they can carve out a path to success. And we're going to see that in a brief moment, right?
Yes,
Jens?
yes, absolutely. I recently had the lovely chance to sit down with Lana and Nayara from WODEN to talk through how they've made it all work over the years and sort of the thought process behind their approach, like all the planning that goes into it and what kind of results they've been seeing. So without further ado, let's head over now and hear that conversation.
Let's do it.
All right, hello and welcome to this exciting conversation with none other than WODEN. So they're a shoe brand that has joined us for this conversation to talk about their experience with live shopping. And I'm joined today by two very, very awesome guests, and I'll let them introduce themselves in a moment. But we'll be diving into WODEN's experience with live shopping and e-commerce and how they've adapted this medium to really propel their business forward. So without further ado, if you would introduce yourself to the audience.
Yes. Hi, guys, and thank you for listening. I'm Lana, and I am the marketing responsible here at WODEN. So together with Nayara, I have been running also the lives that we will be talking about a bit today.
Yeah. And I am Nayara. I'm the head of digital, and not the one that you normally see on the lives. That's Lana, but I'm behind the cameras. I'm on the other side.
Yeah.
Great. So we have both the face and the brains behind, or maybe a combination of both. We'll be diving into that.
Combination.
Yeah, a killer combination. So we want to dive into some questions that we prepared for you, because I think the journey you've had in live shopping is super interesting. So what I really wanted to kind of get into, first of all, was, from my understanding, you've been doing this for a while now, around 2 years, if I'm not mistaken. So that's quite a bit of experience in live shopping, I would say, as this fairly new developing medium. So I'm curious to know, what was it that motivated your decision initially to actually get started with live shopping?
I think we started seeing this trend quite some time ago, coming strongly from other countries. And although it was not yet so positioned, at least in Europe, I would say, we had this opportunity. We saw it as a great opportunity for us and wanted to be the first movers. That's something that also, as a brand, we do a lot.
Definitely.
So from a sales perspective, it really opened up a new way to sell our products, but of course also communicate with our customers. It's not just shoes that we do. That's something we always say. Our shoes have so many different stories that sometimes can be quite hard to communicate through a newsletter or SOMI or a website. So this platform just gave us the chance to highlight new collections, new product features, and talk directly to our consumers.
And I also think that we saw it as a chance to do something where the risk wasn't that high because we had so much to gain. And in case our audience wasn't receptible to this, we could always say that, you know, we gave it a chance, but we actually only saw opportunities in this. So a lot to gain.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, that also goes a bit into what I was going to ask you next is, so this really helped you communicate the value of your shoes and your products overall in a different way. So going a bit more into perhaps the practical parts of it, how has live shopping as a medium where you actually stood in front of a camera communicating directly to an audience, how has that helped you actually convey the value of your products to your audience?
It's been actually really surprising what it has gained for us. It's a whole community now. It's a way to talk directly to customers, gain directly feedback. It has been an eye-opener for us in terms of the value of what we receive at each live, but also after each live. It has really changed the way we communicate.
Completely.
Yeah.
It has opened up a dialogue. I mean, for us sitting in marketing and digital, we have a tendency, of course, to push out a lot of information. And of course, you know, we engage with our customers through our customer service and their comments and their messages, but to have them in real life, to have the real feedback when we're talking about our latest sandal or our latest collaboration, it's a conversation where we can talk one-to-one. We can hang out with them. We can learn from them, not just share information, but we can hear immediate feedback of what they think, whether it's good or bad, right? We have a very strong community, a very loyal community, and then to also give them the chance to talk to each other, because that's something that we were really surprised about when they were not only addressing questions to us, but they were answering themselves. How does this sandal fit? And someone would answer, oh, it's perfect for narrow fit. It runs big, it runs true to size. Like they did the work for us most of the times. And that has been really, really nice to see.
Yeah, that's honestly amazing to hear. And it's something we've also noticed that live shopping can really bring that extra dimension of community building. So it's really awesome to hear that coming from you guys. And also where like you give a face to your brand in a way that's perhaps feels more interactive than what you would normally associate with many products that you buy, right? So you're actually talking to your customers and they're also giving feedback to you guys when you're going live. So I think that's really awesome. Now, I also wanted to ask you, because obviously you're a brand that operates within e-commerce, but you also partner with retailers to sell your WODEN's sneakers and shoes across Europe. So I'm wondering, when you've partnered with retailers, have you been able to use live shopping in any capacity in that regard?
We definitely have. This is perhaps the part that has taken us a bit longer to figure out. Because of course we first had to figure that out for ourselves. But actually, quite recently, a month or two ago, we had our first B2B live here in Denmark, where the learnings we had from the B2C lives, we put them in practice for B2B, and we had again the opportunity to present newness to some of our key retailers here in Denmark, as well as some offers, and once again communicate with them. We definitely are going to investigate this opportunity further, not just in Denmark, but also in other markets, because I mean,
it makes sense.
Yeah, completely.
And it's the time in it. Of course, it takes time to plan a live, but the opportunity you have that you can go live within 10 minutes and talk to your customers for half an hour instead of driving across retail to retail, it's really valuable. We also saw in the B2C live where we created a shop code where you could, if you wrote that shop code, you could get a list to your nearest retailer that you could find WODEN. And we actually saw that there was a really high interest in that. So to be able to create footfall from a B2C live into a store, that was really interesting, and you could actually see how big of an interest that was. So definitely something we could see as a retail.
Yeah, our customers are very loyal to us, but we also support our retailers a lot, because we have very strong retailers that they themselves have a very loyal customer base. So we try to find the balance to also drive traffic. We know that our customers love to try the shoes on, and have that extra service that also fits with our brand. And we have fantastic retailers. So supporting them in that journey has been a win-win, I would like to say.
We always say when you try a pair of WODEN shoes, you're
sold.
Yeah, you're sold. You don't need anything else. You just need to try one pair. So if we can get someone to go to a store and actually try a pair on, we're happy.
Awesome. And I think this also is kind of thematic from what I've gathered so far, because you guys have been kind of leading the way a little bit by being some of the first people to adopt live shopping, but also now in the B2B sense, you've also done it. So I would be really curious to see how this develops, and also if you can, in the same way that it happened on the B2C arena, if you start building a community within the B2B, like other retailers talking to each other, now that you've built a strong relation with them, perhaps they can also share their learnings with each other. I think that would be really curious and interesting.
Definitely. We can all learn from each other by testing. Yeah. So B2B is new for us, but the way we test, we also get learnings from others who are testing that field. So
exactly.
Yeah.
Also training the consumer, right?
Yeah.
Not just the end consumer, but training our retailers. This is rather new. We have been doing it for 2 years, and some other markets have been doing it for many more.
Yeah.
But it's still a rather new concept. And as much as the B2C consumer is more familiar with it, now it's time for us to also train our retailers.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. So in terms of sales and engagement, I'm curious, how has live shopping performed for your customers? And are there any sort of standout moments that you can remember?
We have many.
There's a lot, and Lana and I were talking about this earlier. One of the things that shocked us the most, because we know we have a loyal customer base, but again, having that conversation can be difficult sometimes. So we started getting feedback, and this became our standard question during the lives, which was, how many pair of WODEN shoes you have? And it was a very common answer to say, 15, 20 pairs, not one person, multiple people.
Yeah.
So that's when we started learning, wow, this is great.
And also just the standout moments of like having the comments, like you can read what people are writing to you about your brand, about the shoes, about the products. There's no other way you can write that. Maybe on social media, but who goes to social media and writes under a post like something so heartfelt, where this is also their window of opportunity to be honest and say their opinion. So for us, it's been amazing.
And to be your brand ambassadors, because people are happy to share their product information and feedback with others.
Yeah.
So this is the best way for us to also give our most loyal customers an incentive in the shape of, small discounts or little gifts with every purchase.
Yeah.
And one more fun thing, we one of our last lives, our face here, Lana, who's expecting. People love her so much. I mean, it's been 2 years of a lot of lives, and we in fact did a little competition where our guests had to guess the gender of the baby.
Yeah.
And people were really engaged, let me tell you.
The engagement is crazy.
It's crazy.
People congratulating me and sending me off on a really good, like, high note. It's really personal. So for us, the lives became personal. It was our community. It was our loyal brand ambassadors, and we really want to dive more into that. Yeah.
Nice. So can we get the scoop here? What did people guess, and what's the real answer?
Well, I was styled that day in pink shoes, so I gave it away.
A lot of people say a girl.
Yeah, because of my sandals I was wearing that day. And then
were they right?
They were right. It was a girl, and the sandals matched, so it was amazing.
Nice. Congrats.
Thank you.
That's awesome. So lastly, guys, I wanted to ask you, now that you have so much experience with live shopping, and also from what I gather in this conversation, you're testing quite a bit to find out what works for you and what doesn't work, and kind of to build that formula for yourselves. But if you had to perhaps distill it down to a few key learnings that you can take away from your experience with live shopping so far, what would you say that is?
I would definitely say that our most valuable learning was that we constantly have to ask ourselves, what is the value of this event, of this event that we're making for the live for the customer? So constantly thinking, we find this interesting, or these products are new, but what is the actual value for the customer? The fact that you can step back a bit and ask yourself, that makes it that much more effective. The live is much more effective.
Completely. I also would like to add the as I was mentioning earlier, the communication channel where we can actually talk about newness from a much more heartfelt perspective and a human perspective, where you can see the shoe. We also use models many times, so we give styling tips and humanize the product. Because the shoe can be very impersonal, but the fact that you have someone on screen live moving, wearing the shoe, gives us so many opportunities to really talk about the depth of our brand and our shoes, and make sure that it stands out to the end consumer, whether that end consumer was already our customer and knew the story, which most of the case actually they don't know the depth of the story, and whether there is a new customer that doesn't know much about WODEN. Now they have the information in an hour. We can basically give out all the information that perhaps was planned for 2 weeks time in terms of so many newsletters and so on.
I don't know if this is a general thing, but for us, approximately half of our viewers on each live are non-followers. So for us, one of the key learnings was that, okay, we also have a lot of people maybe watching the lives that don't know us as a brand and our products. So it's a really, it's so valuable for us to have an hour with them where we can talk about our brand and our products. I mean, that's something you fight for in everyday marketing, is to have their attention for 2 seconds. So really, really learning for me.
Which we normally, actually, I don't know the average, but we do have quite a nice attention span from customers. And by we, I mean Lana, obviously. It's a good show.
We try to make it valuable for them.
I think that bears out, because just to kind of touch on some of the themes you mentioned there, like when you have an impersonal product in and of itself, right? It's a product that you're selling, but giving that personality, giving people the chance to relate to that product and envision it for themselves, that takes that human touch and that human connection, which I think you guys are successfully delivering with your live show. So that's why, it's really cool to hear like how all of that came about. So really, really happy with to hear all the cool things you guys had to share with us. But if there's anything else that you think could be worthwhile mentioning to the audience, then please feel free to share any little thing that you can, that comes to mind. Otherwise,
I think this is a fantastic opportunity that not only has brought us, sales, that has also helped us build a relationship, a personal relationship with our customers, that we have also taken as an opportunity for our wholesale setup. It might feel scary in the beginning, but do it.
For me, it's also like whether you're the one watching a live or wanting to host a live, it's to just go for it. Also, like if you're watching live, comment, give your feedback, ask those questions that you never ask. I mean, it's a great way for the brand. You don't actually know the value for the brand that they get these questions, because we look at those questions. We're like, interesting. Okay, they want to see more of this. Like, give your opinion. I want to see more of this, or on a model, and if you're the one, thinking about doing a live, just test it. Just do it.
But have a plan.
Have a plan.
Understand what is it that you want to communicate.
And what is the value for the customer to actually watch that live? Because we are seeing a market where there's a lot of lives also. Yeah.
For different purposes.
Yeah.
And ours will always be brand and communication.
Yes.
All right. Thank you guys so much for joining this conversation and sharing all the great insights you had today. So appreciate everything you had to share. And yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you as well.
Cool. So Jens, I thought that was great. Hearing from Lana and Nyara, I really love their energy, and it's just been an all-around pleasure watching WODEN really kick ass over the last 2 years. So getting the insights from them personally and coming kind of behind their live shopping strategy is something I found really valuable, and I hope you guys did as well. And I think it kind of highlights how it can be more than just a B2C sales channel, right? Which is, I think, is quite innovative. And I think it also just goes to show, like they said, WODEN have really been a first mover with the guts, if you will, to try out new things. I think they've really been bold. And as for what I kind of gathered from this regarding live shopping is like they're really pushing the envelope, metaphor, and using it. We had to, right?
There you go.
Right.
You had to make a comeback.
We should have like a metaphor counter. Ding, ding, ding. But anyway, pushing the envelope and using it to strategically reach retailers and getting their product and visibility out there. Now, to me, that really demonstrates how there isn't necessarily a fixed mold for how to succeed with live shopping, which I think is important for all of you listening today, because a lot of people are like, show us how to do it. And unfortunately, folks, it's not a cookie cutter approach. It's like any other tool. You have to figure out how to use it and then what it is you want to build yourselves. Clearly, there are best practices out there, which we can talk about, and we do talk about often. But yeah, you can shape it to complement the exact needs and strengths of your brand, which I think that's kind of the overarching takeaway for me. Yeah,
totally. And I mean, WODEN is a good example of how you do play to your strengths, and you also have the courage to try something new and see what works, see what doesn't. And I think the results speak for themselves, that they're able to attract thousands of viewers and move serious product in a single session of going live. So that stuff doesn't just happen by accident. So there's clear plans and thoughts and strategic insights that can lead to that point. And I think what I also gathered from their story, it's about knowing who your customer is and then building an experience around that customer, which will have them showing up again and again.
We hear that. That's like rule number one in almost everything, is like know who your customer is. So this is a really good example of them doing that.
Yeah, and applying that to their live shopping strategy.
Yep.
So, you know, everything that we've kind of heard them do in terms of forming the creative concept and doing the technical setup, I think the guys at WODEN are really thinking the entire funnel, as you mentioned. They're thinking that through. And it's really cool to see how live shopping has become an integral part of that journey.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that excites me the most is, you know, we're past the point where live shopping is just nice to have. I think for footwear brands that really want to stand out and get ahead of the curve, it's proving to be a necessary growth lever, engine, metaphor.
Damn, you're trying to catch up to me, aren't you? I'll see if I can weave some more metaphors in here at the end.
And folks, if you're a footwear retailer that wants to body slam your competition, or a brand watching this thinking, could we do this? The answer is
100%.
Yes. It couldn't be simpler. And here at Sprii, we're here to help you get started, right?
Absolutely. So just head over to Sprii.io and get in touch with our team. We'd love to explore how we can tailor a live shopping strategy to meet your goals, your challenges, and explore new business opportunities.
Easy peasy. It really is. And that's it for this round, folks. Please Make sure to check the links in the chat and keep an eye on your inbox for the recording of this if you want to either rewatch it or share it with a colleague. As always, please give us, wherever you're watching this, a 5-star rating. Please leave a review. Please share it with your neighbors, your colleagues, your family. Tell the world
Your
about
second
this
cousin. I'm sure they want to see it too.
Everybody.
All right,
Cool.
folks. Thanks for hanging out with us today.
And we'll catch you next time, everyone. Stay sharp and have a great day. Cheers.
Cheers.